Welcome to Season 3 of Boundless, a podcast where we give a voice to Good Shepherd Rehabilitation patients and their families. Our guests share their remarkable stories of how they triumphed over illness, injury, and disability through the arduous but life-changing process of rehabilitation. Joining us now is April Murphy and her son, Anthony Kruzick. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So, April, tell us a little bit about Anthony, who you have here today. He was in an accident when he was 16 years old.
Yes, that's correct. Last July, beginning of July, he was in a major car accident with a truck that hit a train. He suffered multiple injuries to his body and a severe traumatic brain injury. Before that, he was just a normal 16-year-old boy, running around, adventuring, hanging out with friends, fishing. But yeah, so.
All right. And Anthony, would you like to say hello today? It's wonderful to have you. Thank you so much for being here and letting your mom share your story. Okay, so you have this accident.
Yes.
What did that call or visit from the police feel like? What happened?
So it was about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and there was pounding on my door. He was at a sleepover the night before, so he wasn't home. I answered the door, and there was a few police officers there telling me that he had been involved in a car accident. I had to get to the local hospital right away. So that was definitely the scariest moment of my life, and then waiting at the hospital to be, told what happened and see if, he was even alive. Like, we didn't know.
Every parent's worst nightmare.
Definitely.
What was going through your head at that moment?
Fear of losing him. Because again, I didn't know if he was with us anymore. They made us wait about an hour and then put us in one of those tiny rooms, the kind of family rooms that, can only mean something very horrific had happened. Did get to see him briefly then, got to hug him. He wasn't awake, but before they took him back for some emergency procedures. So, but yeah, it was definitely the scariest moment a mother could go through.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine the scariest moment. Okay, so he pulls through. Mm-hmm. What are his ailments?
He broke both of his legs, his ankle, his wrist. He had lacerations to both his liver and his spleen, and he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury with DAI. That's diffuse axonal injury, where the neurons kind of sever throughout the brain. It's one of the worst forms of traumatic brain injury. He spent 2.5 months in 3 different ICUs. He had a few emergency surgeries because he had some internal leaks that had to be, he needed a stent put in his liver and things like that. So, yeah, it was definitely scary at the beginning.
I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I'm sure. I can't imagine. So he is cleared by the hospital to move on to rehabilitation, and yes. Good Shepherd Rehabilitation is strongly recommended. Why did you decide, okay, we're going to go with them, and what made you stay there? What was your initial reaction to Good Shepherd?
Yeah, so they were highly recommended, and we did get to go and tour the facility, obviously, before we went, and just being there and meeting everyone, we felt it was right. We just felt at home. Everyone was just so nice and explained everything, and I knew that they specialized in the multiple trauma that he had been through, and we liked that it was a pediatric unit. It was safe, it just felt like home, and that got us there. And then once we were there and saw how they treated him and us as a family, they really treated us like family to them. They explained everything that they were doing and that they were planning to do. They based their goals and for Anthony on kind of where he was as he started to emerge from. He was in like a vegetative state for like 3 months, and as he started to emerge, just little things like humming or opening his eyes. or opening his mouth. I remember his sister getting him to open his mouth on command for the first time. That was one of the first things he did on command. And they use those little things that you might think are just, the littlest little milestone, but they use those to curate his rehabilitation plan and his next goals.
Sure. So what did rehabilitation and what does it look like in the beginning and today?
In the beginning, it was just the small things, trying to find ways to get him to be able to communicate before he got his voice back or could point to things, or do things on command. Just giving him a voice when he didn't have one. And it was just the smallest little milestones that just started building up to the next thing and then the next goal. And I remember his physical therapist there at Good Shepherd just saying how she had to keep recreating his goals every week because he would just keep surpassing them, And
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. It gives you such hope.
It does.
What are some of the examples of rehabilitation that Anthony has had to do through Good Shepherd?
Well, one of the first things he started to do on command too was kick his foot. So moving his legs. And I had, during the early stages kind of looked at other stories, other people's success stories, and had come across a story where they used like a cycle, like a bicycle, to kind of kickstart another patient's rehabilitation. So I had brought that to his physical therapist, and she had already kind of thought that in her head too, to kind of use that as a next step. And he couldn't really move his legs on command or anything, but this bike, this FES bike, which was donated by the Women's Circle to Good Shepherd, he started using that, and it would kind of start pedaling for him. And then it would show when he would start to engage. And that really, like, from then on, just kind of jump-started all his recovery to, like, moving his arms and talking. And it just kind of skyrocketed from there.
That's incredible. And it looks like Anthony was just showing us a little bit how he can move his legs and his feet. That's incredible. Incredible. Look at you go. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. What are some of the things that he couldn't do when he first arrived that now he's able to do thanks to some of the exercises and routine that he's created?
So many things. He can do pretty much everything at home on his own. I mean, he can't walk on his own yet, but he is using a walker in outpatient therapy. But he can feed himself. He makes his own waffles, right? He gets himself dressed and in and out of bed, right? He can talk now, and he couldn't do that before. And the speech therapists there were amazing. All the therapists there were amazing. He's actually just recently started rock climbing as well.
Wow.
Yeah, he can't walk yet, but we're climbing.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I just want to point out that this has not even been a year since the accident, and this is how far Anthony has come so far. Now, is this just one person that you're working with at Good Shepherd, or is this multiple different disciplines?
Yeah, multiple. I mean, we're seeing a few different, I should say, physical therapists and occupational therapists. We're at an outpatient center, and we're also at the main facility, too, one day a week, utilizing some of that awesome equipment. So he's been doing speech therapy, and they're starting to incorporate some vision therapy as well. So
That's incredible. It sounds like he's doing incredibly well, and
Yes,
it's so great to see.
It's amazing.
I do want to talk about the fact that you live in Boyertown, and so you're not right around the corner from Good Shepherd, but you continue to travel there. What brings you back to a facility like that when it comes to care for your son?
Just the amazing staff that they have, the amazing people. We've already seen the amazing things that they can do in just a short period of time. So we definitely just want to keep, working on that, keep building on that foundation that the inpatient pediatric unit gave us. So why wouldn't we go back,
Absolutely, absolutely. How has there been support for you through this process?
Definitely.
Do you feel like you've been supported?
Oh, yes. Definitely been supported by all his therapists, all his doctors that he's seen, and also our family. Like, this has kind of brought in our family a lot closer together, too, going through something like this. So
You have an older child. You have an older daughter, correct?
Yep, he's got an older sister.
Anthony's big sister.
Yep. She's been amazing through all this. I mean, she's stepped up. She does everything with him. She's amazing.
That's incredible. What are some of the ways that you use the Good Shepherd rehabilitation routine and exercises that they've taught you in the home? What are some ways that he brings that home and demonstrates that to kind of improve his mobility?
Yeah, we've definitely taken everything that they do. You know, we attend every session and we see what they work with him on, and then we try to incorporate that at home. And we don't have all the specialized equipment, but we have us, you know. So yeah, we bring that kind of back into the home. We've gotten him like trying. It's trial and error, you know, different things, but. Even just getting him to practice standing, like he started doing dishes again. We have him stand at the sink and do his dishes and brush his teeth. And so anywhere we can kind of get him up and down and moving and bending and everything that they're doing, we're just trying to, you know, it looks a little different at home, but
Sure.
we're definitely trying to incorporate it
Absolutely.
at home to keep that momentum going.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's what it's all about, the momentum.
Yeah.
So you're coming up on the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
What surprises you most in his recovery since just a year ago?
Surprises me most. I really didn't think we'd ever get here, you know, him talking, him doing things on his own, bringing his like sense of humor back. When he laughs, it's infectious, you know. I mean, I definitely love that he's doing chores again.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, but
And what does recovery look like as we move forward past the 1-year mark and into the future? What does the future hold for Anthony? What are your hopes and your goals for him?
I mean, he's already back at school, which is great. That was one of our goals. He definitely. Do you have a goal? I know you had mentioned one earlier. What? To walk. Yeah. It's definitely one of his major goals is to walk again. And we're definitely going to get there. Like he's got the strength. It's just some of the coordination right now is what we're working on. And that's why we've been starting the rock climbing now, trying to get some of that coordination in. But yeah, it's definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, he's come so far over the last year, but we still have a long way to go, you know, and we just got to keep on working at it, and we just keep positive and keep our hope up, and he'll get back to walking and hiking again. He used to love to hike.
Wonderful.
We're going to get there one day.
Rock climbing sounds amazing,
Yeah.
Anthony. Do you love rock climbing or what? Is it hard? No? He's shaking his head no.
No, not hard.
Not hard for you? That's amazing. That's incredible. And what's the plan moving forward through Good Shepherd Rehabilitation? What's their plan for Anthony, and what are their goals?
Their goals are to get him walking again for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
That's one of the major things that we're working on, especially with physical therapy, obviously. But I mean, occupational therapy, he's leaps and bounds that, you know, he can do now that he couldn't do before. Just, you know, little tasks and things like that.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So I have to ask you, April, as he continues this journey, what's your biggest hope for Anthony in his lifetime as he recovers?
I mean, I'd like to see him kind of go back to hanging out with his friends and, you know, being able to go do things on his own. Do you have something? The friends. Yeah, I know. Hanging out with your friends again. He has so many friends.
Hanging out with his friends
Yeah.
again, that's a big one for Anthony.
Definitely, I think so.
Sure, any teenager, right? Mm-hmm. Taking that away is tough, and so
It is.
you're working on getting that back.
Yeah,
And what's the experience been like through Good Shepherd?
It's been amazing. They just gave us so much hope. They gave him so much of his life back, and us too, you know, and they've educated us the whole way through this process. And I just don't think we could have did it without the support of all the therapists, all the nurses, all the doctors, everyone there. You know, they were amazing. They really were.
April, I can't imagine what this has been like as a parent going through this, but I just have to say your strength And I could tell your love and support of Anthony are just so incredible.
Thank you.
I know with you behind him, he's going places. He's going to reach that milestone of walking.
Yeah, he is.
Right, Anthony? Mm-hmm. That's right.
He's such a hard worker.
Wonderful. Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Wish you continued success in your recovery. And April, thank you for sharing Anthony's story and your family story today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
That's it for Boundless, a podcast sharing stories of recovery by the patients and families of Good Shepherd Rehabilitation. Be sure to check out other episodes of Boundless on the Good Shepherd Rehabilitation website. That'll do it for now. I'm Brittany Sweeney. Have a good day. Take care.